All right, so let's get to the retrospect review section of this episode one time. So yeah, man, this week, we're gonna celebrate 25 years of Office Space.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the second feature film from animator/director Mike Judge, of Beavis and Butthead fame. If I'm not mistaken, I think this movie came out before King of the Hill. I believe so. Yeah.
This came out before King of the Hill? I can't remember.
I will not be surprised. I really should look at it.
We'll check it out.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is based off of one of his early animations as well. They basically do the same bit. And the movie relies on that bit as well.
Exactly. That would be Milton. That was
Milton, right?
These animated sketches he did off of Esther, right? So
yeah, it was SNL, right? SNL and I think it had some stuff off of MTV as well.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
I believe so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's fine, right? So pre-ramble time, right? So here's the thing, right? I didn't get cable until 2000, right? So by the time I got it, by the time I saw it.
Oh yeah. King of the Hill came out in 97.
Okay. So it came out.
So it's before this, yeah.
No problem, right?
I remember watching King of the Hill before this.
Right.
Anyway, yeah.
Me too, right? Which I'll get into, right? So when I got cable, I missed that train. I missed that Beavis train. That train had already left the station. Because, I mean, I knew about it, right? Just through pop culture, just seeing bits of it on TV.
Right.
Right? But I never got the chance to watch it.
I was never super into Beavis and Butthead. It was funny enough, but it was just like a little too rambling and not to work. The spin-off is great, Daria. That is an excellent show. Yes. I was a big fan of that show. Right. And then the movie is great.
When I actually got cable, that's when Daria was blowing up. Yeah.
Right. And then the movie is great. Beavis and Butthead Do America. I thought it was excellent. I really like that.
It is.
A lot of fun with that, yeah.
Don't mind to wait to get cable to see it because
right.
No, they didn't show it in Trinidad, but I knew how.
Yeah, I saw it on Stars when that came out on Stars.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
That was,
Another subject of that, we just had to make a quick mention to Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, which came out in 2022. We had to
right, yeah.
Because the pandemic. That shit was hilarious. Just barely because
it was alright, yeah.
It's the same dumb humor from before. It's like it just never left. The humor never left trend, right? And after give credit to Mike Judge for saying, yes, it's gonna be dumb because it's Beavis and Butthead. Shut up, I know it's 2022, it's Beavis and Butthead, shut up, it's dumb. And you'll love it, right? So it's like that, right? But yeah, King of the Hill, however, I saw this on TTT, right? Channel 2, right? That was one of the few TV PG cartoons that we used to see in on local TV, right? So long before, like back in 1990 there was the Simpsons, right? But then when Simpsons stopped showing, King of the Hill just kind of came in this place, right? It was in the same station, right? And I remember really enjoying that though. I like the sort of down to earth vibe of it though. I love the lead of Hank Hill, like, hi, my name is Hank Hill. I sell propane and propane accessories. Like, I just love his voice. I love the what in the hell? Like, I love that.
That boy in right.
Yeah, that boy in right. The family dynamic.
King of the Hill was a masterful show. It was really, really funny. Well done. A great cast of characters. Luann, I think the first Luann. Brittany Murphy, yeah.
Brittany Murphy, too. Yeah.
Yeah. The son was great. Hank was great.
Yeah.
The neighbor was great. Boomhauer. John Redcorn, really funny character. Of course, my boy, John Redcorn, who he cheated with his wife, and there's the name by Pocket Sand himself. The paranoid conspiracy theory character. But it was just a legit funny show and really smart. And it gets into Mike Judge he understands two things really well. He understands white working class really well and white professional managerial class really well, and that kind of cultural clash in the context of the storytelling. And this movie does that masterfully. And pretty much all of his material I like. The only one that's kind of don't hold up for me, and a lot of people like this show, but this one it don't hold up as well as I thought it would have, is Idiocracy. I don't think that holds up all that well.
I'm gonna talk about that, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but great points, right? Yeah, I just love the down to earth nature of King of the Hill, right? It felt real, even though it's cartoon characters, right? Point is, I kind of got late into into like the other stuff that Mike Judge was doing, right? So like I said, by the time I got cable, that's when I finally like saw Beavis and Butthead for myself, like for real, right? And then the movie itself, right? And as far as Office Space goes, well, I didn't even know about it till like later on, right? Because during the 2000s, I was just under this sort of like weird cult movie slash midnight movie kind of like vibe now, you know what I mean? So because of the internet, I was just like exposed to all these like, unique films and just unconventional films, right? Whether it be sci-fi or comedy, right? And they usually like, box office bombs, stuff that, just I don't know, just didn't click with a lot of people. And it's just all these people like, just new fans, more or less finding these shows and really crediting them for how great they are now. So I was just like seeking out those films, right? And that's how I found out about Office Space, right? I didn't see it until it showed on Comedy Central. And fun fact, I found this out through Wikipedia. It's because of Comedy Central. That's how this show became a cult classic, right? Because of when it used to air regularly on that station. Yeah, that's when people was like, oh, this show real good. You know what I mean? So I know I saw it there, right? As far as Milton goes, I didn't even know about Milton at all because I never saw SNL until I got cable, right? Because Comedy Central they actually used to show older episodes, like from the 80s and 90s of SNL, right? So with the 90s stuff, that's why I saw Milton. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Like, Judge did this because I noticed the art style, like the kind of wobbly art style. Thing, like, oh, that's Mike Judge shit. I know.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Right. But speaking of Idiocracy, right? That was a show that for some reason I just never got into. But I'll never forget when it didn't. Well, I didn't see the premiere, but I know it was on cable or it was on Cinemax or something like that, right? But I just remember like watching part of it, right? And like I wanted to get into it, right? Like this smart guy in this like post-apocalyptic world, that everybody's idiots, right? I wanted to buy into it, boy, but it's not Luke Wilson's fault or anything like that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
it just didn't click with me, and like it.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Well, I'm not dogging the show for it or Mike Judge necessarily for this, but it's one of those things that don't hold up particularly well. Like the undertones of it, not I don't think particularly like workable. No, it just, in my humble opinion, just don't work. And there's just more personal worldview stuff, especially it kind of borderline eugenicsy when you think about it. What they're trying to say and do. But I remember enjoying it. It was like a funny enough movie.
Yeah.
But
that's why I wanted to see that. I wanted to see because there's a comedy there. You want to see funny shit. But I don't know. Maybe I was just in a bad mood or something like that. But I just never got around to like watching the entirety of that film.
Right.
I guess maybe if I do, I'll appreciate it more. Because that show also too is a cult classic, right? But yeah, that was like a big flop too, right? And
right. Yeah, I remember not doing that good in theaters here.
Yeah. Sure. So I don't know. Like I think. One thing I really have to give Mike Judge for is making the kind of shows that he wants to make, right? He's really passionate about these stories. So whether you like his humor or not, the man is just gonna do it. Like he's just gonna do it, right? He's going to do, Beavis and Butthead do the universe. He doesn't care if you're worried about the pandemic, and he don't care. Well, people don't grow up from that shit. Why you do that for? He's gonna do it, right? He is that guy, right? And it was really cool, like recapping Office Space, so because I could really feel like just that creativity that he had in telling that story, but also, and this is why the show really works and still stands to this day, though, is how relatable it all is, though. So you may not be a cubicle slave like the characters in this show, but you more than likely know how it is to work in a job that you despise, be in a situation or circumstance involving work where it's like, I could be doing something better, Dread. But the underlying thing about it all is just feeling stuck, you know what I mean? And it's something that I can relate to and still relate to, right? This is the idea of being stuck, like you don't know where to go, you're not sure if, transition into a new career or a new job will make any difference. You want to be free, you want that financial freedom, but you can't really get it for yourself. And then the worst part too is that you're looking at all your skills, all your accomplishments, right? And you're like, that not even enough, Dread. You know what I mean? So I like the idea that this is set in a software company, Dread. Like all these, degrees I imagine these characters have, and yet it don't even amount to shit, right? Because, yeah, even though they're making money, they're being treated like shit now. So all that stuff is so incredibly relatable, though. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just amazed at how relatable and timely it still is, even though this movie came out in 99, right? So yeah, that's the end of my preamble. But yeah, before I, do a quick little breakdown of the show itself, yeah, what was your experiences seeing Office Space for the first time? And yeah, what you thought about it then?
Yeah, I remember loving it a lot. So I saw this on cable. I didn't see it in theaters. Just watched it on cable. I just thought it was really, really funny, really well done. It starts off so great by introducing the characters like the best way possible. You learn everything you need to know. Them in a traffic jam and how they react to how every one of them reacting to the situations they at. Little simple things like that. It's again all of the side characters. In many ways it was a kind of proto Scrubs, right? Because John C. McKinney is in this. But they also have like a lot of other characters who really feel like character archetypes that you could have in Scrubs. Like say, the Todd. If you remember the Todd from Scrubs, there's a guy in this who's very similar to the Todd, who's like the kind of weirdo perv guy. Yeah, it's stuff like that. Like all of these, character archetypes that make it work as a really good working place comedy. And then, yeah, again, Mike Judge really has a good sense of one white working class and then white professional managerial class, and that back and forth now mostly. Because it's a very white, for the most part, very white space. Very few black characters in this, even though Orlando Jones' little moment in this is hilarious.
Boy,
like what they do with him.
I forget about that, but when I see it, I was
Yeah,
like,
I completely forget he was in this.
It's so dark, but it's so funny.
Yeah. Like, I forget where he was in this. But yeah, that's the whole thing about it. It's still, like, ostensibly just these three characters who really work with their own thing. It works in the context of when you learn it later. Again, if you go later in terms of, like, how jobs are, the nature of jobs. If you look up David Graeber, he has a book called Bullshit Jobs, right? The late David Graeber. And yeah, it feel like that. It's just these kind of redundancies and contrivances towards office space, like the term office space. And you only learned this because of the pandemic, especially, at least I learned it with the pandemic. It's like, yeah, a lot of it is contrivance towards rented office space. Like, all of these buildings shouldn't exist. You get all of the history of it and the thing, but at the end you get to see it as a workable time capsule of 1999. They mentioned Y2K, for example. Like, that was a big part of it. A big part of the story was the whole Superman 3 thing, the big scam they're trying to pull on the company and whatnot. And they make reference to all these things. And it's like, oh yeah, I remember all of this. And then it just, all the little side characters really make it work. So Dietrich Bader is great at this. He's so goddamn funny.
He is.
And yeah, I just remember just having enjoyed all of this and making it work. It just come together as a really classic comedy that's, like, legit funny, though. And my personal life is like, oh yeah, right. I know people in my dad's office who like this. They just like this. Like, when they go to work in, when he used to work in, he used to work back in the days, long time ago in Carib Glass, if you know, right back then.
Right.
And he used to the office. I forget what he used to do, but it's that. It's straight up all these, bubbly people, fake personality kind of stuff, and my no patience have been asked me, like, just calling people out, and it's like, yeah, what's all this? Why are you talking like that? Why the boss like that? And yeah, it's the same. It's just that general corporate culture of that slag out the world in the 90s, the Clinton years, no? And you can get a big argument about history about the economics of that and NAFTA and why it is that these things evolve the way it is. But in terms of just the nature of it, it really works because it happened to line up with, I think, a couple other movies in 1999 that has a similar conceit. Office Space. I would say The Matrix, and I would say Fight Club.
And being John Malkovich.
Right.
Right. Is I don't know if it's I feel it's I don't want to say it's convenience. Coincidence. But there's this idea of, wow, like the decade almost done, and like why am I still in this shitty job? Why do I still feel like shit?
Yeah, but yeah, all of it. I mean, it does frame itself in a very white framing in the sense of, look, the guy have this pretty secure job for the most part, but he bored and it empty and so on. So, and you can get into a big back and forth about that. But I think it works. It was a zeitgeist period. Or another movie that was like that, but it came out the year after. That was This was more into the suburbia aspect of it, but American Beauty, kind of like that too.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Right.
Right. That whole suburbia, it's not all that cracked up to be, a generation later after the suburbs have been formed. Well, 2 generations later, you could say if we're talking to the right person. Just the emptiness of it all, right? The empty materialism. And what you're talking about and how to feel about it. But Office Space makes it really grounded and concrete. That's why it works. Those other materials is largely esoteric and in its delivery. This was just straight up. You get to see the direct conceit of it. And have a couple things technically, like just one small thing that they get into it and it makes perfect sense. The printer. Printers still suck. Printers still suck to this day. Like it's still printers.
The one that is in my workplace sucks. The one that I have at home sucks.
yeah. Printers is still fucking up. Printers still fucking up to this day. I've got probably the 2 things that will drive you up a wall in terms of just running out your patience, and it's 2 things that I straight up avoid using nowadays, unless I have to, unless you're really forced me to and I have to. But yeah, I will just straight up avoid doing these things. Is 1, the printer, and then 2, traffic, and that was the opening sequence, like just them being stuck in traffic to go to the shitty job, to come back and be stuck in traffic to go home, and the repetitive nature of it, and they make it work, and it's really smart stuff. For what it is, again, in Trinidad, we have no good goddamn reason to have this much traffic, and yet for some reason we do. And for whatever reason we can't build a train for some reason. Little simple bullshit things like this now, it's just add up. Because it's just right, and you mentioned, as I said, being stuck now. It's just the grind of the whole thing. And the show nails this, like, I think aesthetically and just thematically really, really well, and all the characters. So yeah, we get into it. Peter, great character.
It, right? Yeah. So it opens with Peter, right, Gibbons, who is a cubicle slave, as the late great Roger called him, right, in his review, which he gave a 3 out of 4 stars, right. So just so you know what to expect with us. Played by Ron Livingston, right. And I love how simple the opening sequence is, because he's trying to get to work, but he's stuck in like endless traffic, right. And just that in itself just sort of sums up his predicament, right? He wants to progress in life, but he's stuck, and he had to watch other people move forward, right?
They have this quick bit with this old man.
Yeah, with a
watching
walker,
in traffic.
Wow, boy, like seriously.
And all these other little bullshit like things, like he changed lanes, and he kind of changed lane again.
In front of him, like, oh, gosh.
Right, yeah, dude, the light stop. So when you move, light stop, like, all that bullshit. Hate it.
We're also introduced to Michael Bolton, not the Michael Bolton,
classic.
right? But
classic.
I love the fact that this Michael Bolton
until Lonely Island. This is what you remember Michael Bolton about in terms of humor. Like, oh, you're right, Office Space, that's the joke.
Yes.
The whole, there's no talent ask long there. That I remember. Yeah, that's what I remember about it. But, until Lonely Island did their thing with Michael Bolton, this is what you remember with Michael Bolton. And I get a feeling that was, like, a whole thing for Michael Bolton himself. Like, you get a feeling that his career was, like, taking a hit, or, like, just at least his public image was taking a hit because of this. Like, he got out of the way to get Lonely Island to fix that. That's how it come across. Yeah. But this is one of the best character introductions ever, because he played one of the best Scarface songs. No Tears.
Yes.
No Tears. Classic.
Which is from Agree to Disagree. Well, I mean, it's mine, right? But to me, this is the best Scarface album. I know a lot of people have the Fix up there,
right?
But for me, I like grimy Scarface. I love introspective Scarface like everybody else, but grimy Scarface, I get that with the diary. I fucks with that album. I love it, right?
Yeah.
So when I hear No Tears, I was like, what? I forget that song on the album, on the soundtrack, right?
And it's the hardest. They cut it to the hardest part of the song with my pistol point clock ready to lick non-shots, ready to lick shots non-stop when I see a monkey ass drop. Classic. Great line.
And it's how Michael received the lines. But I love points for the movie for having the balls, because I actually read up on Wikipedia. I think like some execs at Fox were concerned, you're gonna put the N-word, you're gonna have rap songs with the N-word with movies with white people. It's like, yeah, bitch, that's what we're gonna do, right? Whatever.
But to be fair, you don't actually say it to the thing as far as I know. But they do a funny bit with him with the guy selling the water thing.
He was selling bouquets, like flowers.
Bouquets, right? Okay, yeah.
Around, right? Yeah, and
right.
When he was school up, he low the volume and he oh shit,
it's a funny bit. It's a funny bit.
Yeah, he raised back the volume at that point where you mentioned, right? But you could watch Michael and understand why he will listen to grimy ass shit like that. It makes perfect sense, right? I love that, right? we introduced
Samir.
also to Samir, right?
Right.
Whose surname, if you know the movie, I am not even
Yes.
pronounce because nobody
Nani
except for him,
Nani Arajat.
yeah, nobody outside of him could pronounce that surname, right?
Right.
I like how he just like stringing together like various cuss words because he pissed at every traffic.
Yeah.
She's like, shit,
Yeah.
ass, son of a
Yeah.
bitch, fucking.
Yeah.
I love that. And they all work. Well, these three characters work for is basically like a bank or banking software company called Initech, right?
Right. So okay. So it is never clear to me what it was it do because it have a credit union in the company itself.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure what exactly the company did necessarily. They keep saying it's banking software, and that makes sense. But I never could have followed what exactly they do. Like we know it's a credit union inside the company. That is where the money was sloshing around. But I couldn't follow exactly what the company does. I had to look that up.
I wonder if it was Mike in retrospect, maybe not wanting to confuse the viewers because it's software stuff, right? So it's like, all right,
we know that.
I'm not gonna understand this, so they just keep it as a software company, right? But yeah, kind of when they talk about all these stuff, like especially like what Peter have to do, you kind of had to kind of explain. You don't have to take too long, but kind of show you. All right, this is in relation to what now? You know what I mean? Something like that now, you know?
Right. It was basically right. It was a proto IT, like an early IT financial security solutions company that in the world. Okay. So it wasn't like they didn't do nothing or bullshitters, you know. It was a bullshit jobs thing. But yeah, it was referencing credit unions and money and how to slot around money. Yeah, so it does that.
Okay, right. Yeah. And Initech is run by, fan favorite Bill Lumberg, boy, played by Gary Cole, boy.
Yes.
I would say like he is probably one of, if not the most memorable character in the whole show, boy.
Right, yeah, he is one of the more memorable characters. Because right, so he shows up. I don't know if it was the same voice actor. I think that was Mike Judge himself. But he's the character also in the animation.
Okay.
You know. Yeah, he's the same man. He show up with the coffee mug and just being condescending.
Yeah, all right.
Right.
Okay, you know what I mean?
You're right.
Real swami, real swami shit.
Also, I don't know if this was intentional, but it that whole thing, I'm not sure if that was a Mr. Mackey kind of thing from South Park.
Because I know South Park came out in 97, if I'm not mistaken.
Popular, right, in 97, right.
Right, and yeah,
so I'm not sure. It have an overlap. So yeah, but yeah, he's a great character. Everything about this dude is just slimy and shitty. He always bullshitted here. Always figured out how to get it. We got the whole joke is how you want to get to work on the weekend. That's a bit, and that how that plays out is really funny.
Yeah, which I'll get into in a bit, right? So anyway, so Peter now how we introduced him in the film, right? So he is experiencing a case of the Mondays, as a lot of people.
Yeah, boy. Oh, God.
Right? And yeah, I can relate to that shit, boy. Like, nobody wants to come to work on a Monday. I don't care if you had a good sleep on a Sunday. Nobody wants to come to work.
No, it's like that. It's like the whole case of the Mondays, how the people is use that, and the attitude. That's the part about this. See, if everybody was like normal.
Yes.
And just normal about what they was in. But you see, the contrived happiness. This putting a pencil in your mouth, making it smile bullshit.
Yeah.
That is the part that is drop you up a wall. And DJ Beta's character is the funniest about that because they do a bit with that. That had me cracking up. All of his one-liners are great. Like what they do with him. But yeah, the case of the Monday thing, boy, just everybody had to be smiling and be all happy all the time. They're like, no, just do your fucking job. Now you can't do that. Nah, they can't do that. They had to be nice and happy all the time. That's bullshit.
Exactly. So
yeah.
I forget this aspect of the movie, right? So as soon as Peter reaches cubicle, right, and his job is to handle TPS reports, right?
You're right.
I was reminded of a character that I forgot about, right, and rightfully so because she was so fucking annoying, right? Nina Dread. And she just got on the phone like, corporate accounts payable?
Sorry, corporate accounts payable, Nina speaking, just a moment, right? Right, so I always thought that in the background, that was a little piece of world building, thinking about it after the fact. I remember just thinking about it, where the reason why she getting called all the time is because nobody's being paid in the company, or at least a lot of people is not being paid, just like Milton.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So remember Milton? Milton was being paid.
Yeah, he wasn't getting paid, right?
He wasn't fired, but he wasn't being paid either. So it's like, so the reason why they keep calling her is because of that now. It's because it's a complaint now. So that way she constantly having to answer that question. I don't know. That was just me, but I don't know if it's because of the bank or whatever it is. Because I thought it was payables now. Is you know, you just had to go in a company back in the long time back in the ancient days when I worked with a corporate thing. I remember you have to go across to get to accountables now. Accountant had to answer that for you. So that's her. That's her call now.
Yeah.
She was the one that had to answer that, and if she don't answer that, then you go upstairs to where Milton went with next to Bill Lumberg's office now.
Payroll. The payroll, right?
After the payroll section, right? Is that so? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know the structure of the company in that sense, but that's how it felt. Like it's like, wait, why doesn't she have to always answer? That is she job the entire day? That don't make any sense.
You know
that in her head now. Whatever.
But
it's a bullshit job thing. I don't know.
Right. What does make it so annoying, Jed? And you hear it. You literally hear it throughout this whole sequence. He's just on the phone repeating this, second.
Serious?
Just a moment. Sorry, corporate accounts payable. Dean speaking. Just a moment. I just see this, right? I just feel like, wow, like this is what you had to look forward to, Peter. Like you just sit down and you just hear this woman talking this in a way. And it gets even worse now because, all right, before we get to the worst part, right, we introduced Milton himself, right, played by the great Stephen Root, boy. And I like how he just nailed the shy, sort of sheepish, soft-talking character, right? It's all
God.
And like he playing the radio though, so Peter's like, you could please lower the volume. I was like, Milton, I was still like, I can listen to the radio and raise no volume from like 9/11, and this other woman, she could do that. It's talk play. It's like he could do it for hours, and they're like, all right, Milton, we get. Everybody else is moving like that, like, all right, Milton, like, okay, you can ramble on, you can bubble, we don't care. Let's move on. But just that introduction to Milton is fantastic in my opinion, right? And this is bit with him like always complaining how he does how to get moved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's this thing about his red swing line stapler which become popular because of this movie. Bill, right? The supervisor, always taking it and always bringing it back like at the worst times, you know what I mean? And he was like, you have my stapler. He always like talk about that, like give me back my stapler. I know Milton is hilarious to me, but yeah, he's a fan favorite, true and true, right? But yeah, back to Peter, right? This man is told 3 times, right? And he is 8 people who had to tell him this like daily, right? But yeah, 3 times he being told about some memo about the TPS reports.
Right.
And it's so bad how it done it. Could Bill come with the Swami just like, hi, the memo and stuff. And then somebody else come in and tell him that. And then he get a call and somebody tell him the same thing, Jed. So just offer this whole sequence alone. And then, of course, needing the background, which is just a moment. Yeah, you understand where Peter coming from. You understand why he is pissed off, Jed. You know what I mean? Afterwards, now we are introduced to another fan favorite by the printer / copier boy. Jesus Christ.
At the time, I remember people complained. But there's an answer for it. But so when they say PC load letter, what the fuck does that mean?
What does that mean, really?
Right, so I forget the real answer to that, but I remember somebody explained it, what it means exactly in terms of this. It just means I think you just have to load paper or reload paper into it, because that's a big thing with printers. Like, you have to load paper at the time, or you don't have enough paper for the event, because printers share the network. And there's one thing I always hated with printers. Printers always have the worst programming. Software-wise is the failure. Like, for whatever reason, printers is just still terrible to this day. Like, unless you dedicate yourself to making sure you run the printer, and you have a specialized printer, like remember in UE, you had to just go to a printer place and they will just print it for you, or a actual printer, some private printer shop. It have a whole shop, so that's all they just do, just design yourself around printer and photocopy it, because it's a sucky technology that you have to spend mental time on. So I think PC load letter was just simply to do with paper. That's all it is.
Okay, yeah.
Just make sure you load the paper. Why read it like that? Is because programming is terrible in that way, and so on and so forth. It's real trash.
But I like how Sam here, because he's the one you see with it first, right? Because he's like, why you tell him PC load? What is PC load? What?
PC load letter.
Yeah. Why you tell him a PC load letter when it's actually printed out or something like that? He was saying that, like, you get to that error, right? And I like how early on Samir and Michael talk about they want to destroy that shit, right? Cause it's shit, right?
Yeah.
Later on, the two of them and Peter, they head over to this restaurant, and we're introduced to a waiter by the name of Joanna, who's played by Post Friends, Jennifer Aniston, right?
Right. Post Friends, when Friends ended? Friends ended in 2000. Yeah, 2004 also. I don't know.
Okay, I just wasn't into Friends, so I didn't know, right? But I think
Yeah, no, Friends ended in what? In that 2004, the finale, I think. It was not post Friends. It was Friends was still going on.
I don't know. Okay, but I
Yeah.
think one of the draws to this movie back then obviously was Jennifer Aniston.
No, she was around this time she was starting to like, branch out on dialogue with she movies because she was like it was her. I think 1998 the fellow played Joey. He was in Lost in Space. Like the Friends people were starting to move off now around that time. But her career. Yeah, her career. I think around this time she also get with Brad Pitt, so that is a whole thing.
Right.
So yeah, that's all about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly when Friends ended, though. To be honest, I know it was in mid 2000 or after 2000.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So Samir pretty much tried to coax Peter to talking to her because he's attracted to her, and honestly I don't blame him, right?
All right.
But he is currently working things out with his ex to be Anne, right? And there's this whole thing running about how he have a feeling, that he's being cheated on and that she cheated on him now. I like how everybody else is right. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Like,
there's a funny bit too. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean by
everybody
that?
knows.
Yeah, like they know, right? It's kind of obvious, but he's like, obvious, right? There's a funny bit involving Peter and his neighbor Lawrence, who is played by Diedrich Bader, right?
Diedrich Bader is so good in this, so.
I know. I just like the idea that he is basically overhearing shit, but he just like how the house is designed there. So it's a duplex, but it split like
It's basically a room they put a wall over. Like you add put two doors.
Exactly. It's not even a duplex.
No way apartment could be that damn small. Like, but what's funny about it too? Yeah, the funny thing about it, you just be hearing everything. Lawrence will be hearing everything them do, but you never be hearing anything Lawrence do.
That's like, true. Because Lawrence will just come over, like in this scene, he come over and talk about, tune into Channel 9, man. And it's some topless chick or whatnot, right? But you don't hear any TV on, but Lawrence is Lawrence is Peter's TV, right? So it's like, TV on? All right, cool, I'm going over by you, right? But yeah, I just love that dynamic. So basically, Peter talk about, he wanted Doc work this weekend because, he have a feeling that Bill will ask him to work on Saturday, right? But, Lawrence is like, we should go fishing, right? But is the conversation they have near the end of the scene that I love, right? So they talk about, what they would do if they had $1 million, right?
Listen, this has cracked me up because this is a classic question. It's a classic joke. And it's a classic meme now because of Diedrich Bader. Two chicks at the same time.
Basically, you want to have a threesome, but the logic I like, though, it makes sense because, like, chicks like guys with money. I mean, agree to disagree, right? But
no, the joke is, he corrected the sense that I have a lot of women who don't like guys with money necessarily, but he said the type of girls that will double up on me would. Like, that's the joke. It's a funny bit, Trent.
No,
it's a funny bit. And then what follows up? The follow up is hilarious too. With when Peter was like, "Well, I won't do anything," and he got off on the spiel about relaxing that thing. And he's like, "Well, but you don't need $1 million for that. You're my cousin. Look at my cousin.
Yeah, your cousin's broke and you don't do shit."
Yeah, exactly. It's great, great one-liners with him.
Great piece of that's brilliant dialogue though. Like it's funny, but it so much though because like what would you do if you had $1 million, right? But Peter saying he don't want to do anything. It's like wow, I love that.
Right. So this was right. It was to follow up a previous conversation with Michael Bolton and Samir, where they talk about the money and I think it was his guidance counselor back in high school.
Yeah,
it's a whole thing. And so on and so forth. But this Diedrich Bader is the MVP of the show because he by far the best laughs comes from him with me, Dread.
Yeah, no, I think it's just because of how straightforward he is. You'll just tell you.
Yeah.
I just want to get with two chicks that that's it. That's it. Right. So the next day now, I'm back at Innertech, right? There's a staff meeting, and Bill drops this all too relatable line to his staff, right? So it's, you should ask yourself with every decision you make, is this good for the company? I like that he have this big banner. Is this good for the company? Bring and Bull, right? He introduces this business consultant. Well, there's two of them, but we see one of them first. Bob Slidell, played by John C. McGinley. I was like, hey, you.
Yeah. It made me think of Proto Scrubs because this is before Scrubs.
Yes.
It's like a couple of years before Scrubs started, though. So, like, and he doesn't play the same character from Scrubs, but it's the same energy. Like, there's the same authority, funny stuff now, and they make it work for what it is. Yeah, go ahead.
And that's the way how he looks, though, when he delivers the lines, I love. Where it's like, all right, I try to be cool and, calm with you, though, but like, all right, this is kind of dumb. You know what I mean? Like, it's how he expresses himself. I really like, right? There's this veteran employee named Tom, and he always like scared because he feel like he'll get fired now, even though.
Oh my god, Tom had some classic moments too, Dread. The jump to conclusions, that thing is so stupid, but it's so funny at the same time.
When he explain it.
Yeah, boy.
Like, I like that Michael say that is like the stupidest idea I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, for real.
But it's when you see it later on, though, you watch it,
and it's looking terrible, eh?
It still looks stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, so back to Peter though. So I like how Peter like real trying to duck out of work, so he like real saving the files or whatnot. And wow, Windows 98 shit though. Like I just watched this like.
Don't think that. That is not even that because it's an office computer, so that shit look like Windows 3.1, Dread. It even look like 95. It looked like 3.1. The way all that was actually probably before. It's probably 95 to be honest, eh? But that shit look like an office, like them office workspace computer, like a ME or one of them NT type programs. Yeah. That shit now. Like, jeez, man, these terrible OSs back in the days, Dread. Shit slow as hell. Yeah, go ahead.
And what's so funny looking at it in retrospect, right? You know, in those movies where somebody have to, sneak into somebody's room and download files onto a flash drive, and there's always this where the person comes in and they have to hurry up, but the files still being copied, right? And there's this time limit. No, it's how they play it, but sort of different now with the stuff being saved and they take it forever to think because of how slow the computer is there. So by the time he done now, he run into Bill and Bill doing the whole I'm gonna need you to come in on Saturday. Then and then Sunday. I'm also gonna have also need you to come in on Sunday. I was like, fuck you, Trent. But it's the reason that Hammer saying fuck him, he said how a few people will lead off at the company.
Right, because it was firing people, right.
I was like, nah, fuck you, Trent.
That
was so rough, right? I don't know if you have anything to say about that moment with...
It's a funny bit because he looking at him, he see them skulking around, and it's like you can tell it's some real shark behavior now. So he when he look back up, he disappeared now, and then he come from behind. Like, funny as hell. Because what make it funny is that the geography of the sea, it looked like the geography of the office changed when there's this bit, like where he working there. Because it's like, why would he sneak up on him if he know the office space as it is there? Yes. Little things like that. Yeah, just the sheer absurdity of it though. Make it work.
Right. And then we get one of the best moments in this film, Trent. I forgot about this shit, and when I see that, the payoff had me laughing my ass off, right? So Peter and Anne attend this hypnotherapy session.
Right. Yeah.
And it's about working through the relationship there, cause they in a rut, right? But where it begins now, Peter basically talking to a Dr. Swanson, right? Played by Mike McShane, and I'm like, wait, you in this too? It's like, Rel, you in this too, I was seeing all through the show, right? How stressed he is, right? So Dr. Swanson basically do this whole pre-guided meditation thing, right? Well, sort of hypnosis thing, right? So he tell him to calm his body down, right? And wait till he count to 3, and then he will kind of give in to like inner peace, right? Now, I watch this scene, I just watch it normal, right? And then I just see Swanson sort of cough a bit. I'm like, no, Mike Judge, you don't gotta do this to me, right? Don't.
Yeah.
No. And then I see you sort of sweat. I'm like, no, Mike, don't do this, Trent. And then before the man say 3, the man collapse and die. And everybody else freaking out, and Peter just sit in the chair all zened out, Trent.
Yeah.
I was laughing my ass off.
It's a really funny bit.
It's so dark, but it's so funny at the same time, Trent. I was like, and for me, looking back at it, right, I was like, only an R-rated show can get away with this, Trent. Like, you can't show that, PG or PG-13 show. You will freak people out, Trent. People will get freaked out when you talk about mental health, Trent, or go to like, like a psychologist. You'll get freaked out, Trent, when you see something like this. But I will like, that shit had me laughing, Trent. I don't know if you enjoy that scene too.
Yeah, it's a funny bit. It's the main trust of the movie as it is with Mike. Peter changing his mindset completely and making it work for what it is. It's a really funny bit that catches you off guard because what they do with it is how everything gets zoomed out. And like, all right, it worked because the guy died. Because it wouldn't work otherwise. I'm sure of that. Because I think they attempted that several times before. And now it worked this time for some reason. Like, no. Yeah.
So yeah, because Peter is zenned out now. He just spent like half the day, the following day, of course, sleeping. Right. He was just
Right.
sleeping through the whole weekend, basically. Right.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does sleep. But he effectively sleep through all our Saturday. He didn't go to
Right.
school.
Right. All that stuff.
Because it's called.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He get voice message after voice message from Bill, and I like how it all starts off with yeah or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Ange called, and she real pissed off at how he was reacting to the hypnotist dying, and then she pretty much break up with him. And then she say, "Yeah, I was cheating behind you," and well, Peter don't really give a shit. He's just like, "Well, fuck it, right?" I like that he's a new man, right? I like that he even had because he's single now. I like that he has the bravery now to invite Joanne for lunch, right? Don't mind it's in another restaurant, right? This like even though they don't really like explore her work-based background though, the main conflict of it I find is so stupid, but I guess that's the point. This whole thing with her wearing flares, right, or buttons that she has on her suspenders, right? So she
right. So this part of it.
One second, the boss like he.
Yeah.
It's not like he angry about it. He's just concerned, right? But how he harped on it so much is like, well, this guy has 37. So it's like, why it is that you stick with 50? She's like, well, I just want 15. This is enough for me. So like, why you want me with that, right? But it's so weird and absurd. But I guess that's the point, But it just
that's the insidiousness of it now. Is the smile on the face they're making you do. So with the flare thing, they wanted to do the bare. They tell you the minimum is the thing, but when you do the bare minimum, they're still fighting it down. And you have to not only do this, but do it with a smile. It's like, look, you're already paying me. I ain't had a don't make me smile with this now. That they get into that insidiousness of that aspect of it now. That's when especially with restaurants and service industry stuff, where look, if you're in front. You better be, don't make, do three simple rules: be attractive, be handsome, and don't be unattractive. That's the rules, but also be happy. That part of it, I think, is why they nailed that part of it, in my opinion. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, when we first see Joanna, she's not like all smiley. I mean, like, yeah, she's attractive, but she's not like smiling to everybody. She's just like cool. She's just normal. She just doing she work, right? So
she do she job, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like when you go Fridays and these kind of things, and again, so this was before Fridays came to Trinidad or anything like that,
right?
And I remember going to Fridays and thinking, wow, this is the same fucking bullshit, though. Like it off his space gone back in the back of my head is like, wow, like that's a job because I just really feel how when I go these places and they ingratiate and it's like
it feels
they
fake.
have to do it.
It feels fake.
It's fake, but they have to do it. That's the sad part about it. It's their job, like as if you had to give a shit, like if they give a shit one way or the other. They have to do that to everybody. But it's a weird kind of thing, and I just always feel how when people they do that now. I really feel a kind of weird way, like they get like I don't try to like get napkins or if like again a drink for me. Just make my drink as good as you could. Do it. I'll get napkins. I'll do the stuff for myself. Don't need you to overserve me. I see that. There's something about that just bothered the hell out of me. It's just the weird relationship, and this nails that. Like this nails that whole. You can't even do the bare minimum. They're still getting harangue.
Yeah.
That part of it. No, it's so interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So Peter, he's still chill, right? I like how he shows up to work where they're doing all these like interviews with the consultants, all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
He just there to like collect a dress book, right? But he does stick around for his interview. I like how he just like talking in this real nonchalant manner about the job that he do, he just don't care. He just because he just had to put up a lot of shit, right?
You're right.
And there's like a follow-up meeting between the consultants and Bill, and there's this other superior, right? I talk about, what Milton was laid off 5 years ago, but due to a network glitch, I believe it was, he was still collecting paychecks, right? So, yes,
you're right.
There's a point later on where, they just cut that off, right? Actually, they set it up here, right? Because they say, well,
you're right.
Can they fix the glitch, right, once they find out? But the idea is that they want to keep Milton on board, but they're not going to pay him. I was like, wow, boy, all this.
Yeah, real dreadness.
That real dread, boy. And I like that when they come to, when they're talking about Peter, right? They say about how he hasn't been challenged enough now. So I like that the consultants looking at Bill now. So it's like, almost like, all right, Bill, you want to keep your job? You have to give Peter more to do, right? I like that.
Right.
I like that whole balance of power thing that they do there, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And then we get another Ghetto Boys song. I forgot what
Ghetto Boys, yeah. Yeah.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster, right? And while it is not one of my top favorite Ghetto Boy songs, how they use this in the movie is brilliant. I love it, right?
Yeah.
And just this montage of this Peter just not giving any fucks at all, Dread. Right? I like
Yeah.
how like everybody at work just watch him like, dude, what up to you, Dread? But I like that he's spending more time with Joanna. They watching Kung Fu on TV. He even go on fishing with Lawrence, you know what I mean? But the beauty of this sequence is the song itself, right? You know, the beat is laid back. And the Scarface and Bushwick Bill pretty much laid back as well too, right? But they talking like all this gangster shit. They're like, yeah, this is why I do it, or like, I don't care, I a gangster. It feel good to be a gangster. I making money, you know, fuck all that, right? And how and how they connect that with Peter's Zen, you know what I mean, throughout that whole sequence.
Yeah.
I love that. I love this whole sequence, right? I don't know if you have any thoughts with this whole montage. And
Yeah, it's again a good funny edit. Again, really good montage. There's a lot of great montages in this, like you know, just cutting together stuff, making it flow and really and it's not like super funny or anything like that, but it just setting the character up so well and flowing the story put it together quite well. Yeah, it's a good sequence.
Yes, and also points once again for keeping the N word. Stop. They don't censor it. They hear all of that.
Well, yeah, I didn't expect that.
I like word. Yes. I don't care if it's white people. You get the point, right? Whatever. So Peter Zen now is tested now because during a meeting with the consultants, he learned that Samir and Michael are scheduled to be fired at the end of the work.
Yeah, wow.
And
it's
what oh gosh, Dietrich's character says, where he says statistics show that it's best to fire people on a Friday. I like, fuck you, boy.
Yeah,
it's true. Well, you know, when you really think about it, it's true. It's true, right? And they're gonna be replaced with these entry-level employees, right? And poor Milton Dread, like, well, Bill ended up doing it, right? Yeah, like they forced the man to move to basically
the
basement Dread.
Yeah,
it's how he reacts it to like you know like this is like the fifth time you move my desk around and waste my stapler and my paycheck, you know. It's he goes off though. It's sad, but it's funny. But you feel so sorry for him, though. You feel so sorry for him, right? So earlier on, they were talking about, well, Michael was talking about this. Well, it's actually a software, but they call it a virus, kind of, right? That he created, right? And well, Peter.
Right. No. So.
All right.
He didn't create it. So well, he capable of programming it, but this was something an old thing, from since the 70s, an old problem, an old exploit that they never really patch out, and. It's from because as I say, they keep talking about Superman 3.
Superman 3. I like how they bring that up.
Same thing from Superman 3.
It's the same thing from Superman 3.
You're right.
Yeah, that's a piece. That's a nice piece of writing there, now, because
clever.
Kind of you know, implausible. That was like, yeah, well, you know, in this movie.
No, yeah, like that make okay. So I don't know the actual history of this. I show it off like a Radio Lab episode or something like that. That probably covering it, but the whole shaving off the fractions of a cent thing because computers just counting two anyway. Like it's all of these. Remember, a lot of computers are just saving energy or saving RAM or whatever it is. So you can understand why these things were designed the way they was, and then you forget. Like they just forget, time pass, and it have all these technical problems that pop up only later. So you could see, you know, it making some sense. It's only when you notice the money missing, then you realize something wrong now. But you will never notice on that programming level. So I don't know the actual history of this. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that actually real and was a problem way back in the 80s, 70s and 80s. And, you know, countries, like, I sure banks in Trinidad still had a problem with some bullshit like that, sure. But whatever, it's like that. It's whoever it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. And I like how Michael is like, well, why are you doing this for? Like even though my job is shit, I still getting paid, right? And then what people tell him, well, yeah, you gotta get fired, right? So it's real subtle, right? But, you know, I heard it and I love the fact that he used this in the movie, right? So for a hot minute, right, I knew that Slum Village, right? You know, fun fact, if you saw my Hip Hop Top 10, you know, episode, right, that is my top 10 pick of like all-time favorite hip hop albums, right? Fantastic Volume 2, right? And one of the lead singles was Get This Money, right? I always knew that song was in this movie, right? But I didn't know where. But how they brought it in make a lot of sense because it's basically where Peter and Michael are at the bar. And, you know, talking about the plan, right? In the background, you hear the instrumental. I love that because, yeah, the song is about getting paid. That's what it's about, right? But this here, this the background where it's about, yo, I gotta get fired, what I gotta do, right? I love that. It's subtle, right? It's not in your face like the Ghetto Boy songs, but it works, right? But afterwards, now they hook up with Samir and they hatch this plan to install the software into the main system, right? And again, these needle drops, right? So I didn't even like I actually wasn't familiar with this song until like I heard it like a while back, right? Ice Cube, Down for Whatever. That's off of
Right.
his album Lethal Injection, right? Yeah, like how they fit that into it though. Like the song itself is like some real pimp shit, but how they frame
Yeah.
it in the scene was real dread though. And there's the whole, all right, I can sneak this behind you, and I can put this in, I can make sure nobody watching me. It's real sneaky shit though, but it works perfectly though. This again, these needle drops though actually work, right? Later on, one of the co-workers, right? So that's the pervy guy that you mentioned, right? Yeah, tells Peter and Michael and Samir that Tom, right, the old guy, tried to commit suicide there because eventually he got
Right.
fired, right?
Right.
And he feels.
Yeah, this was so dark though,
Well,
and it was
it's
dark,
dark,
and funny at the same time.
Again, I watch this scene play out there, like, all right,
Yeah.
what happened, right? So but long story short, it ends with him driving out of it. Well,
Yeah.
driving out from his driveway, trend. And I waited for it, right? And yeah, a car just hit him, bow, right?
Yeah.
Truck driver. Well, yeah, he ended up in the hospital. He broke some ribs and some bones and whatnot, right? But he get a huge settlement from it, right? And well, he getting out of the hospital in a few days after he gets out. Sorry, he hosted a party at his place, right? It's like, all right, cool,
Right.
we'll go there, right? So cut to Friday, and Peter's driving Michael and Samir back home, right? So this is right after they get fired, right? Right after they get kicked out, right? So Samir talk about how they get forced out, like if they were about to steal something, right? And Peter says, "Oh, I actually did steal something. Call it a going away present." And then we get the defining moment of Office Space. Even if you never saw this movie, you know about this movie. Right?
Yeah.
And this
Classic.
is where our heroes destroy the printer / copier. It's slow-mo. They pick the best song from Ghetto Boys album.
Yeah.
Well, still, that's the name of the song, right? And again, it's framing this grimy gangster rap with like scenes with characters who are the furthest thing away from that environment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the juxtaposition works.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like that even if you don't know the context of what it is you're seeing, right? Like if you just see this for the first time, you have no idea what's going on, right? Is the joy that they have in destroying this though that rings true, right? In short, the scene is fucking brilliant. It's inspirational actually. It transcends brilliance. It's inspirational, right? And yes, like even though it's not one of my favorite.
I remember even Family Guy parodied this.
Yes, they did.
They for a bit, yeah.
So like while still it's not my favorite, it's not my top favorite Ghetto Boys. So like my favorite song from them, of course, is My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. That's a masterpiece in my opinion. Still, imagine, still put a lot of people onto Ghetto Boys, off of the scene, right? And by the way, Mike's reaction near the end of the scene is priceless, right? So like, he just go and start to punch this thing there. And
Mike does just not have it in dread.
The way how they see this block there, it looked like he just beaten on a man. And the other two had to pull him away, Trent. And he's like, no, fuck this, and push them away. And they started pounding on it again. I'm like, word. Mike, round of applause. I love that. So yes, that scene is brilliant. Die motherfucker, still fool. Classic. I love that. So yeah, anything else you want to weigh in on that?
No, that to add, because it was just a classic bit. I mean, it's just so really funny and well done how they cut it together and how it just edited the slow-mo, the camera angle from the beat when they walking above the camera. And it's just a real hardcore shit. And the second you see the printer like fly into frame, the second you see the printer fly into frame, you're cracking up. Because I think, that is what
what catch me though is he drop kicks them doing it though. Them doing drop kicks on a printer, I see Peter with the partner, so in my head just because I haven't seen it in a long while, right? I just thinking like all of them had a turn with the bat and they smash it, right? But no, it's like Samir doing drop kicks, punching. I assume it's the motherboard or the chassis. Just punching that shit too. I like, wow, I love all this. But yeah, that scene is timeless. That is
legit funny.
Pop culture, though. I love it, right? But anyway, so Peter, Samir, and Michael and Joanna now they attend Tom's party, right? And during the proceedings, Tom drop a gem dread on Peter because he say, "I bet I hated my job even more than you, and I've been doing this for over 30 years. But just remember, if you hang in there long enough, good things could happen in this world. I mean, look at me." Yes, that last part is dark, but it's a lot of
No, it's funny, that's funny as hell, eh?
I know.
Oh, the guy, okay, so the guy who was his lawyer, who is that? It's slipping my mind. I'll try to gather. He had this guy who's a black fellow who's his lawyer who got him the money.
I was watching him. I was like,
I know that fella face, you know. It's slipping my mind.
Yeah. I should look it up, but I know him from somewhere. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, when you really think about it, it's yes, it's a perspective, and you can always
right.
get a new job or you can switch careers. But the idea I get from it is that if you're really passionate about your job, you will stick with it. You'll stick with it long.
Well, nice to stick with it. I mean, he is the worst character to be saying that. Like, that's a joke too, but it's a good point. It's still a good point.
It is.
Yeah, because he just so pathetic. Because he's the one guy who never, like, you can say he's the one guy who never chases dreams or do anything. Because he keep talking about the mad thing, and it's a shitty idea. Yeah, but he never even make an attempt to chase it until he body mash up now. Yeah. So it's all this thing. But yeah, the two was asking them about the crime they do and how much money, years he could get, because he talked about the fella had clients who white collar crime now. Basically what he was doing is just stealing it's money they thieved with respect to the shaving pennies thing.
Right. And the whole jail thing and what happened if you go in jail, and that freak out Samir, I remember that. Yeah.
Right.
So the same co-worker from before, the same pervy guy from before,
right.
And he just watching Joanna. It's like, oh, I want to hook up with her. It's like, oh, well, that's my girlfriend. You talk about
yeah. Who she come with, right? Yeah.
Basically, she's been around like a record. I mentioned how he was evil with Lundberg, right? And
right.
That now, Peter just sat flipping out thread, and like as they leave, like he and Joanna, right? So he take it. Oh, it's my boss you sleep with her, but she
yes, Bill, right? Like, you learned that, right?
And of course they argue, and she leave the car. And I think that right afterwards she goes back to the job, and then the boss doing that whole bullshit thing with the
right.
And then she just like, you know what, I done with this shit.
Shut up, Meldo.
And move on. I love that. That was it's simple, it's to the point, but yeah, it make a lot of sense, right? And well, Peter's plan actually works, right? Because on Monday I believe it was, he goes to the ATM, he check the account.
Well, the problem is that it worked too well. So
it was because
it worked too well. Well, because he put, I think he tell him that he said he probably put a decimal place in the wrong off by 1 or 2.
Right.
So instead of getting a little bit of money, it was supposed to be like that amount, but over like a period of like 2 years or so. So the problem they went on notice, but he get like within over 2 days they get that now. So like, well, it obviously somebody thieving the money there.
Exactly. So of course Peter's freaking out. Everybody freaking out. Peter, Bill, Samir freaking out, right? Back in the tech though, so Bill he having a birthday party, right? His 41st birthday,
right? This bit funny as hell too, Dread. Oh my god. This had me cracking up, Dread. Good cake.
Milton, boy. So
yeah, boy.
This I assume South Korean chick, right? So she cut up the cake and like
boy.
Just they waited for he played the. It's like wait, no. Everybody else have to get their piece. Wait,
boy.
On. And he's like, but that just been you'll
is he edited or cut back to the cake? He get no cake. Funny as hell though. How they play, Dread.
Yeah, the cake. Everybody get cake except for Milton, Dread.
No, what make it funny is they're passing down that right when it's passed down the last piece of the woman right before him stopped now. Like jeez, boy. That's funny as hell though.
And
it's so brutal.
Watching Milton like, oh, so you could take this, right? And he says, oh, maybe I could set the building on fire. That's something. That's a bit he been saying throughout that. Maybe I could set the building on fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, which is the same line from the animation. Because in the animation, we go back and watch the animation, it's the same joke.
All right.
The same joke.
I didn't know. Right. Okay. So back to Peter, right? This is so dumb, right? So they are all trying to figure out how to launder the money because they don't know what to do, right? I like that. Right. Michael say, look, we software people, we don't know how to launder money.
Right.
I like how they saw, well, maybe it's like drug dealing, like we do that, right? Anybody know any drug dealers? And Michael say, oh, I know, what you say, Mike? I know a coke.
Your cousin.
Your cousin is a coke user, something like that.
Yeah, a cokehead.
A cokehead. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, not helpful.
I like that in between that they mentioned this kind of, by the way, that the Lundberg that the guy mentioned was actually Ron, and he used to work for
there's another guy, right? Yeah,
called In the Road, right? So it wasn't Bill's, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, the guy who moved away a while back or something like that. Yeah,
right, and Peter's like, oh shit, wow, I didn't know that, right? I did not expect to see.
Right, because Peter had a dream, and that dream sequence funny as well too. Eh?
Boy, and you see it Bill like having sex or whatnot is like
yeah, but he's still doing the same thing.
I'm gonna need you to come in. So I love, right? Yeah. I did not expect to see Orlando Jones in this, but I like how it comes right after the cokehead joke there, because he talk about, oh, I am an ex-crack addict, whoever it is, and I am here to sell magazines, right? But it's when he revealed that, oh, he used to be a software.
He's working in the truth.
In the truth, right?
Yeah.
But it's what he said, boy, how he make more money selling magazine subscriptions than he did at the truth. I like, really, bro? Like,
yeah,
it kind of hard for me to make sense of that, but it was so weird and funny. And
no, but exactly. They can really get into the whole disposability of a whole class of, like, that tech worker class. It is keep coming and going. Like, the problem with the tech worker industry is that if you're good, if you know your shit, or you climb the corporate ladder, that type of climbing the corporate ladder is not the same thing, because engineers not really good at that. No? And that's why this character, it would have make sense he would have eventually get fired. That's Tom now.
Yeah.
Because you have to, once you're charismatic enough and you're an engineer, you have to do both. If you slip on either end, you're gone. And so in their case, it's like, the engineer is disposable. They always will. At least that type of tech engineer now.
Right.
Computer science is one of those. It looked like something that you could do because literally the richest man in the world became one. But it was always kind of a bullshit kind of thing now. It makes sense now. Right. And so it was a surprise, but it was brutal. It's like, they did it the hard way.
Like it had me, like, when I watch, I legit get scared. Like, all my, like, educational accomplishments, it could be shit though. Like, if I'm like he who into software engineering,
right. Well, no, again, it's one of those things that it was one of the, like, computer science is one of the jobs that is for its difficulty, it's one of the more precarious ones. Like, that was always a kind of weird thing about the American economy. But because the economy, you could move around relatively easily, it wasn't a big problem. But it was super easy to get fired from a job or a career. You know, you see this a lot in the video game industry, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the video game industry, you'll hear this game do so good and so and so, and then you'll hear, oh, they fire set of workers or something like that. Now, it have a big set of layoffs in software companies, and that makes sense, because it's like, once you finish the task, the skills are transferable. Why would they keep you on? The job done.
Right.
It's like that. And it's no different like construction or whatever it is. You just have to look for another job though. Right. It's that. It's pretty much that. So that's how he disposable lad. He say, sorry to say it, you have to like figure out a way to make money otherwise, no, because you ain't gonna make money as it is. Unless you get a bag and you're good, right? But usually with one project you get a good bag.
Right.
That's the problem. Anyway, go ahead.
Before we move on though, speaking of Tom, right? There was a moment that sort of flew past me where Tom was being interviewed by the consultants.
Right. Yes, that's a funny bit too.
He was talking about what his job is, and you talk about
and how he's so disposable.
It is how disposable it is. So
you're right.
You mind if you could explain that, because I didn't understand what Tom's role
was. That's the thing. Tom there for a hot minute, but the thing with Tom is that he's an engineer. Clearly, he's an engineer, but he had enough, for lack of a better term, charisma but he never moved to managerial now. In terms of the job, I don't. Again, this is how I just me remembering how corporate workspaces work in that sense. He has have these kind of in between jobs that serve a purpose back in the past, but when it's time to do some audit and see, well, you don't serve a purpose anymore, it's time for you to go there. And you see it with software companies. I forget who it was, but it had a woman who saved Toy Story 2. Right? She saved Toy Story 2 from being deleted, because Toy Story 2 was deleted, but she had it on her computer. She got fired from Pixar the other day, or Disney or something like that. Like, is that
serious?
You're a hero of the past, and now, you know, what have you done for me lately? You know, sorry, but they didn't owe your ass nothing at the end of the day. And that's what it was. It's just the fella, you could get all this education, and software engineering in particular is precarious. That's also it. Like, it's just that.
Okay, I understand, right? So, back to Peter, right? So Peter apologized to Joanna, they kiss and they make up, and it's nice.
Right.
And even informs her that...
Oh God, the guy from the place, the guy from her workplace is like, hey, you two, that man, I would to fucking kill he. He's such a weirdo,
who's that actor?
I forget the guy's name, but right, so he had an opening moment with them when they went to that restaurant. That is Church. He's the name of the place, right?
Right. Yeah. And he's the one who bring up the case in the Mondays. I remember.
He's the second person to say it, because the first moment was the woman in attack, but he's the second person. And then when this was an underrated Dietrich Bader moment when he asked him if anybody asks you that you'll ever get a case on the Mondays, and he's like, no, man, you get your ass kicked for that, man. It's like that. That is a funny one-liner.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So, so Peter pretty much tells her that, he going to return the money, right? Because he have the checks.
Right.
Well, he have it in check form, so he have it in an envelope. He's going to drop it off by Bill's office and leaves, right? Better that he...
Another part we missed with another Dietrich Bader one-liner when everybody leave and say, you're a bad man, Peter, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yes.
Two things.
Yeah.
Two moments that was funny. One, when he say Lawrence in there is like, yeah, man, but I don't want you fucking up my life too. That's funny. Funny one-liner.
Yes,
I remember that had me cracking up the first time I hear that.
It's how it come out of nowhere too, okay?
Nowhere, yeah.
Like,
and then the dream.
Like Lawrence could have been here what he was seeing, right? But it's like, well...
No, they was listening to the whole thing. That's the whole point. Lawrence listening to the whole conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what make that funny, because you heard one thing that in Lawrence's apartment from their perspective, you know.
Yes.
But he heard everything. But no, oh no, to be fair though, sometimes you just hear him say things because it's like, hey, don't worry about him. So you just sometimes hear stuff from Lawrence's apartment. It's like, wait, who's that? And it's like, don't worry about him, he's cool. Like, I remember they say that. But no, yeah. And then the second sequence is the dream. Where it's like, you know, I sentenced you to federal punk media ass prison. Like,
yes.
in the 90s, look, rape jokes funny, whatever, prison rape jokes, right? But it was funny back then.
But
right? It's still funny.
Our film, come on, it's
right.
That's what we pay money to see, right?
Right. So federal punk media ass prison. Because if they get catch with money laundering, that's a federal crime, and that's a serious crime. Like, so it's just that. Well, yeah, the dream sequence was funny too when they get sentenced.
Yeah, but for me, it kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't think we would have gotten that, right? But it works, right?
You're right.
And speaking of jail, yeah, that's why. Well, Peter pretty much says, he's gonna give himself up to the police.
Right, you're gonna take the rap for the whole thing. Yeah,
take the rap, right? And he actually keeps his promise. While he goes in,
right.
He's sneaking in the night. He slide the envelope into the.
This is a funny bit too.
I love it. Cause like he slide it in, and then like about 5 seconds, he's like, "Oh shit!" Be trying to push his fingers through.
So
that's too late. Sorry.
Small detail with that. I'm not sure if this is the... Okay, so I had to probably double check this, but the door's open.
That's the thing,
Yes, because Milton walked in later.
Yes.
That's the next... I can't remember if that's true. I had to look it back to see if the door's open, because I don't know...
He walked...
Yeah, go ahead.
He opened the door, right? But yeah, I was like, but who... Wait, they tell me Bill didn't close the door? But why? But like...
Oh, he didn't lock the door.
Like
he doesn't lock the door.
Like he did lock it. Like
yeah, he did lock it. Right.
They had set it up a little better because it's a surprise when Milton comes in. I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And open the door. But prior to him walking there now, that's where we get the whole payroll scene, boy. And this researchers talk about, you have to speak to Lumberg. It's like, well, I already spoke to Lumberg, and he
right.
took my stapler. It's like, well, I'm sorry, and blah blah blah, right? And boy, you really feel it for him, right? So yeah, Milton goes into Bill's office, right? Because to collect the stapler, right?
Right, to go get back a stapler, right? Yeah.
Steps over in quotes the envelope. Cause watching is like, wait, he noticed it?
Right.
Like he stepped over it, right? But yeah.
So I thought he took it, because it's checks, right? That's what it was.
Yeah, it was checks.
Right.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that at the very end, right?
Right, no problem.
Yeah, so Peter goes back to Lawrence. He bid him farewell, like, you know what, everything gonna be okay. And then while on his way to the police now, the Initech building is engulfed in flames, sorry. And clearly it's Milton who did it because, you see him kind of walking away from the crowd of onlookers.
Correct.
To notice him and smile like, okay, because
the song choice is great as well, eh? When he came to when he drive into the place and he heard the trumpets played, I'm like, all right, this song is hard. Yes. It's a great edit.
It is, right?
Yeah.
That is very how to say?
It's a jazz. I forget what song it is. It's a jazz song. It's
Yeah.
a kind of I forget what it was, but it's a jazz song. I had to look it up.
It's kind of bluesy, but more upbeat.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe. That's what it is, right? So now for the outro now, or I should say near the outro now. So sometime later, you see Peter and Lawrence clearing the rubble from the Initech building. So
right, Initech, right, yeah.
So Lawrence hook him up with a job. So he's doing construction now. So he like clean up,
right?
Yeah. And Peter spots the red stapler. He's like, all right, I know somebody who would want that, right?
Right.
Mike and Samir show up in a car.
Right. They're working for Innitrode,
They reveal that they're working with Innitrode now, right? We see
Yeah.
a place that Ron and Orlando Jones's character worked at, right? And there's a nice moment where Mike and Samir is like, yo, you wanna get a job? You wanna work with me? He's like,
right.
He's good where he's at, man. I like that. I can learn a lot from that. Just being content by with the job that you have. I like the idea where it's not me sitting on a cubicle anymore. I'm outside. I get my exercise. You know what I mean? So it's a change of pace. So I like that, right? And in the outro now, we see Milton chilling out on this fancy beach at this tropical resort, right?
Somewhere in Mexico, I assume.
I
think it's Mexico.
Yeah, because it's a Spanish guy, or at least a Spanish-speaking guy.
Yeah, either Mexico or Puerto Rico. I can't remember. I think it's Mexico.
Yeah, and I like that he kind of do a take on the whole. He always complains about stuff that we talk about. Oh, like I get a pina colada instead of a Mai Tai, and
right.
All this salt, all this big grain of salt in my margarita, man. And I'm gonna shut the whole resort down. You know what I mean?
Right.
But in my mind, I assume that he found that before torching the place, he found that envelope, cashed that shit, and
he take the checks, right? I thought it was that.
Money. Yeah,
because I thought you get because he was being paid for how long now, whatever it was.
Yeah, clearly that man took the money and he make perfect.
Yeah.
So and it's a brilliant way to end the show off, right?
It's very remember the ending. It's very another English gentleman, the other Eddie Murphy movie with Dan Aykroyd. Trading Places, right? Yeah.
On this island,
right?
Yeah. While the other two the villains are vagrants, right?
Right.
The street, right? So you're right. And also, side note, in the end of the closing credits, they say this film was cut entirely on a computer. I noticed that. I was like, I like that. That's very clever, Mike. That's very clever, right?
Right.
So, in closing, I really enjoyed recapping this film, though, right? I don't love it, but I really do enjoy it, right? But I feel like back in 99, the reason why it's a flop, though, I imagine it's just maybe it was a little too real, a little too relatable, a little too hard to market. I don't know. I guess people just didn't want to come to theaters to see, this man have a shitty job like me. I don't want to come and watch a movie about people having shitty jobs. Like, I already have to deal with a shitty job. Why should I watch that, right? But it's how genuine it is with what it's about and the themes and the messages and all that kind of stuff that make it work, right? It's relatable, right? So even though I never worked corporate before, never worked in a cubicle, I understand that feeling. I know how it is to have to travel to work and how to deal with bosses telling you bullshit, all that kind of stuff, right? We all have been treated in some way, shape, or form, even in jobs that you love, right? But for me, what really stuck with me, though, is just the idea of being stuck, just kind of feeling like even with all my knowledge and stuff, I can't go anywhere, right? So I can relate to Peter, like him knowing that he should leave, I like that there's a moment where Joanna say, just find a job that you love and just stick with it. That's really it. Just find something that you love to do, and that's it, right? And it sounds so simple, but you could understand why a man like Peter will find it so difficult to do, right? But for me, the commentary on that work lifestyle still hits home, and it's still relatable to this day, right? The jokes land for the most part. The Neil drops totally work. I like that Fox was brave enough to have Scarface and Ghetto Boys be prominent on the soundtrack, and it totally works. Again, I imagine a lot of people who got put on to Ghetto Boys thanks to this movie, So much great moments, so much great one-liners. Of course, that printer copier scene is timeless in my opinion. That will be looked upon 25 years afterwards, and people will still laugh at that, even if they never see the movie, right? And speaking of that, just to round things up, I can imagine millennials. This is for the millennial crowd. This is for us. We can relate to this shit, right? But I can imagine some Gen Zers being introduced to this maybe through that printer scene, or maybe through some other bit, whether it's Lawrence dropping a one-liner or Milton or something, and be like, this show is about something. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Mine, it's from an era where we still weren't born, but I get where the show is coming from. I like that, right? I can't honestly say that this is Mike Judge's best film, because I haven't seen his other work, but I could easily say that it is, though, because of the stuff that I saw, right? That would be that and, I guess, the two Beavis and Butthead films, right? I haven't seen Idiocracy. I do hope to see it one day. I probably would like it as much as this one, but Still, this
Right.
deserves its cult status, though. At the end of the day, I feel like this is just a show that just flew past people's heads back in '99. It's very
Right.
smart, though. That's what I love about it at the end of the day. It's
Yeah.
very smart, very intelligent, even with the silly moments and dialogue or whatnot. It's still a very smart and intelligent film, right? And I feel people just wasn't ready for smart humor like that, right? So I guess that's why it was a flop, right? But I'm glad that, people like, gave it a second chance. And, shout out to Comedy Central for putting people onto it, you know what I mean? And now it has a new, a bigger following now, thanks to them, right? So yeah, at the end of the day, I see this as a guilty pleasure for me, right? Something I can just
Right.
watch, kind of kick back and just have fun with it, not really think about it too much, even though, yeah, I can relate to that stuff, even though I never work in the corporate sector, right? But yeah, for me,
Right.
otherwise, I got to give this a decent, a strong 4 out of 5, man. I think that it still holds up 25 years still, since it came out. And I could see this holding up 25 years later on, man, so...
Yeah, hopefully hopefully not.
not.
Yeah,
I like
no.
that. But yeah, Ricardo, your thoughts on rating?
Yeah, it's one of those movies that really does it's both a time capsule but also holds up quite well in terms of like what it's talking about and what it's trying to say. And as I said, Mike Judge is excellent at understanding, working class but also PMC culture at the same time, and that kind of clash, right? And yeah, he goes on to do, like, as I said, I'm not a big fan of Idiocracy, to be honest, mostly because of its kind of skeevy undertones, but he goes on to do another show, which I think is not a masterpiece, but a pretty good show, and does a modern take on the matter, which was Silicon Valley, right, around 10 years ago. That was also a pretty solid show in its own right. But yeah, he always keeps showing that he understands just American work culture and the back and forth on that. King of the Hill, is a great show, top, I wouldn't say in my top 10, not top 5, but in my top 10 animated series. He always had a workable sense of putting together things, and yeah, this is a comedy classic. It really works. The timing and the bits are great. Three great protagonists that bounce off each other. Everybody, great cast, great side characters, memorable lines. Yeah, I like it, and it's a movie that stick with me. Between this and I remember what else came out in '99. That was like a great like satire comedy thing. Election, remember that?
Oh, I still haven't seen that, Alexander P.
Yeah, it's another movie, another show that really nailed the time period and how people think about the world and that kind of thing. And Election is also great, like it's another comedy classic. But what Office Space was for the workplace culture, right? Election was for school, right? And just the mindset of ambition and that whole back and forth. Yeah, it is a great classic movie, in my opinion. Classic, great. I was really surprised they did this as a retrospective. But yeah, it's a movie I really loved.
Yeah, well, before I get to rating, right, totally agree with you, man. But, it's one of those shows that I feel still deserves to be discussed, though. Still deserves a lot of attention, right? Even though it came out back in '99 and could be treated as a time capsule and nothing more, man. But, again, watching it, I was just genuinely, surprised at how much it still holds up, right? Especially thematically, right? But, yeah, what's your rating, man?
Yeah, in terms of like as a movie and how it comes together and how much it holds up over time, yeah, I give it like a 9 out of 10. It's pretty high actually. Mostly because I just forget how funny it was. Like you remember the big scenes, but you remember all the little dumb moments that had you cracking up. It's like, oh yeah, that kind of funny. That funny. This character annoyed, but it's just simple character reactions and how, especially Michael Bolton, he just like had so many classic just like, why the hell you talking to me mindset, and he just had no patience with these idiots. Like it's that, and it works. It really, really works. Yeah. Right, 9 out of 10 for me. Yeah.
Nice.